A man is driving north on the Florida Turnpike. It is the middle of the day. On the front seat beside him is the severed head of a 6-year-old boy. He is not speeding. He is not panicking. He is just driving. Windows up. Radio on. Like he is coming back from the grocery store. Somewhere in Hollywood, Florida, a mother is standing in a shopping mall parking lot screaming her son's name. She left him for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He was in a toy department surrounded by shoppers, security guards, and a police station visible from the window. There was nowhere safer in that city at that moment. And he was still taken. Nobody saw it happen. Nobody stopped it. And when police arrived, they told his father, quote, "Most kids walk home by themselves." The boy had been dead for days before anyone in authority treated his disappearance like the emergency it was. By the time the right people started asking the right questions, the evidence was already rotting. The trail was already cold. And the man who took him was already gone. His name was Adam Walsh. He was 6 years old. He liked baseball, drawing, and Saturday morning cartoons. He kissed his father goodbye that morning and climbed into his mother's car without a single idea of what was coming. What happened to Adam did not just destroy one family. It exposed every crack in the system built to protect children in America. And what came after, the investigations, the suspects, the cover-ups, the courtrooms that never happened, the laws that eventually did, is one of the most devastating and consequential stories this country has ever produced. This is Case Zero Archives. And this is the story of Adam Walsh. July 27, 1981 started the way most summer Mondays did in Hollywood, Florida. The kind of morning where nothing feels out of place and nobody is paying close attention, because there is no reason to. John Walsh left for work early. He was vice president of marketing at the Paradise Grand Hotel in Hollywood, deep into overseeing a $26 million renovation project that had been consuming most of his professional life. He kissed his wife and his son goodbye and drove to the office. A completely ordinary departure on a completely ordinary morning. Reve Walsh had errands to run. Her first stop was St. Mark's Lutheran School, where she dropped off a $90 registration check to enroll Adam in 2nd grade. School was starting soon. Life was moving forward the way it was supposed to. From there, she drove to the Hollywood Mall on Pembroke Road, a 2-level shopping center anchored by a Sears department store that the family visited regularly. Reve had been watching a lamp advertisement for weeks, waiting for the sale price to drop. Today was the day she planned to finally buy it. Adam came with her. He was 6 years old, small for his age at 3 feet 6 inches tall, with sandy blonde hair, hazel eyes, and a face full of freckles. That morning he was wearing a striped Izod shirt, green shorts, and his favorite captain's hat, a detail his family would later remember with the kind of precision that only grief produces. He was an only child. Quiet by nature. Thoughtful. His parents described him as extraordinarily shy around strangers, the kind of boy who would rather observe a situation than insert himself into it. He loved baseball, loved drawing, and according to his father, if you could have designed the perfect son, Adam would have been exactly that. They entered the Sears store through the north entrance, which was Reve's habit. She always parked on the north side. The store was busy for a Monday afternoon. Staff moved between departments. Shoppers filled the aisles. And right across Hollywood Boulevard, clearly visible through the front windows of the store, sat the Hollywood Police Department. Then Adam saw it. Near the toy department, a brand new Atari 2600 video game system had been set up as a demonstration kiosk. In 1981, this was not a common sight. Home video game consoles were still a novelty that most families could not easily afford, and the idea of playing one in the middle of a department store drew immediate attention. A group of boys had gathered around it, taking turns at the controls. Adam stopped walking. He looked at the screen, then at his mother. Reve made him a promise. "Stay right here," in this spot, and do not move. She would be back in a few minutes. The lamp department was only a few aisles away. She could practically see the kiosk from where she was going. Adam agreed and stayed. Reve walked to the lamp section. The lamp she had come for was not on the display floor. She asked a salesperson. The item was not in stock. The saleswoman who handled that department was on her lunch break. Reve left her name and phone number with a staff member and turned back toward the toy department. The entire exchange had taken somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. When she arrived back at the kiosk, the boys were gone. All of them. The Atari console sat there running with nobody in front of it. Reve called out for Adam. She checked the nearby aisles. Nothing. She went to the customer service counter and asked them to page him over the public address system. The announcement went out across the store. Adam Walsh, please come to customer service. It went out again. And again. No response. By chance, Reve's mother-in-law Jean Walsh was shopping in the same Sears that afternoon. The two women found each other and began searching the store together, moving through every department, checking fitting rooms, storage areas, every corner of the building. Store employees joined them. The pages continued at intervals. The toy department remained empty. What Reve did not know, what nobody told her, not that day, not for years, was exactly what had happened at that kiosk shortly after she left. A fight had broken out between the boys gathered around the Atari. Arguments over whose turn it was had escalated into a physical altercation involving 4 boys, 2 black and 2 white. A security guard was called over to handle it. Her name was Catherine Schaefer-Barak. She was 17 years old. She worked part-time at Sears in plain clothes, with no formal security training. She looked at the 4 boys, assumed the 2 pairs each knew each other, and made a decision. She directed the 2 black boys out through the north entrance. She directed the 2 white boys, a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, out through the west exit. The west exit led to a section of the parking lot that Reve Walsh never used. Adam had never been through that door. He did not know where he was when he walked out of it. When Catherine asked the boys whether their parents were in the store, the older white boy said no. Adam said nothing. He was shy. He was likely frightened. He may have thought he was in trouble. He followed the older boy outside rather than tell a stranger that his mother was just a few aisles away. The older boy walked off. Adam was alone. Sears was aware of everything Catherine Schaefer-Barak had done that afternoon. They knew a 6-year-old had been sent through an unfamiliar exit into a parking lot during the exact window of his disappearance. They did not tell Reve Walsh. They did not tell the police. They said nothing to anyone. That silence would hold for 27 years. Inside the store, the pages kept going out. Outside, in a section of the parking lot he had never seen before, Adam Walsh stood alone. 6 years old. No idea which direction his mother had parked. No idea how to get back inside. And no idea that someone was already watching him. The Hollywood Police Department sat directly across Hollywood Boulevard from the mall. When Reve Walsh reported her son missing at approximately 12:15 in the afternoon, it took 45 minutes for a uniformed officer to arrive on foot. The station was that close. John Walsh drove 45 minutes from Miami and arrived to find no command post, no coordinated search, and an officer who told him to calm down. John asked the officer if he was a cowboy. The officer had no answer. That exchange told John everything he needed to know about what was coming. The next morning a police spokesperson told the press that kidnapping was not suspected and that the child was probably trying to get home. That quote ran in the newspaper. John and a business partner set up their own phone tap at the station because law enforcement had not done it. The Walshes printed 500,000 flyers, posted a $100,000 reward, worth more than $354,000 in 2025, activated the CB radio trucker network across the southeastern United States, and John personally handed strangers gas money to keep searching. The only physical lead from the mall was a witness description of a dark blue van with mag wheels, tinted windows, and a chrome ladder. It pointed nowhere. The FBI declined to get involved. Federal law in 1981 prohibited their entry without confirmed proof of interstate abduction or a ransom note. Neither existed. This was not a local failure. It was the entire national system. John confirmed the depth of that absence when he spoke with the county coroner and learned that missing children were not entered into the National Crime Database. The coroner did not know what the NCIC was. John called ABC, NBC, and CBS. All three passed. David Hartman of Good Morning America said yes. The appearance was set for August 11th. The Walshes boarded a flight to New York on the evening of August 10th. Every institution that should have protected Adam Walsh failed him within the first 48 hours. And it is about to get worse. If this is the level of detail you want from every case we cover, subscribe to Case Zero Archives right now and hit the bell. What they did not know was that 130 miles north of Hollywood, something had already been found. On August 10, 1981, Detective Ralphie Latimer Jr. and an Indian River County Sheriff's deputy discovered partial remains alongside the Florida Turnpike near Vero Beach. Divers from Indian River County and St. Lucie County searched the surrounding canal for days. The rest of Adam Walsh was never recovered. His skull was transported to the Broward County Medical Examiner's office in Fort Lauderdale, where it would remain for 27 years as active evidence. At the moment of discovery, John and Reve Walsh were on a plane to New York. On the morning of August 11 they appeared live on Good Morning America, appealing to the nation for information about their son. When they landed back in Florida, reporters were waiting for independent identifications confirmed whose remains had been found. John Monahan recognized the gap in Adam's teeth and a new tooth growing in, having seen him days before. Dr. Berger matched dental X-rays to an amalgam filling on the lower left molar. The medical examiner confirmed. Years later, mitochondrial DNA extracted from the jawbone matched Reve Walsh, permanently closing any doubt. Dr. Ronald Wright's autopsy established cause of death as asphyxiation. 5 blows to the back of the neck and skull. A blade approximately 5.5 inches. Decapitation was post-mortem. No drugs. Dead at least 10 days, killed within 1 to 2 days of abduction. He had not been held alive. White ceramic and paint fragments embedded in the skull almost certainly came from the weapon. It was never found. The casket at Adam's funeral was empty. His skull was evidence and could not be released. John Walsh went to Dr. Wright and asked for the remains. Wright said no. Then he told John he could not have his son back yet, but that he could help other children. He told him to make sure Adam did not die in vain. John Walsh left that office with a purpose he had not walked in with. The killer was still unknown. But something had permanently shifted. Professor David Carter of Michigan State University confirmed that starting with people closest to the victim was and remained standard investigative procedure. Hollywood PD was following protocol. The problem was how long they stayed there. John and Reve Walsh both voluntarily submitted to polygraph examinations. Both passed. No deception detected. They were cleared without complication. James Dudley Campbell was 25 years old, operated a sailboat and Hobie cat rental on Miami Beach, and had lived with the Walsh family for 4 years. He had moved out exactly 2 weeks before Adam disappeared. He had breakfast at the Walsh home on the morning of July 27 with Reve and Adam, declined to take Adam with him, left at 10 in the morning, and was confirmed at his work site by 10:30. Multiple witnesses placed him there. Investigators developed a theory around Campbell's 3-year relationship with Reve Walsh, still ongoing at the time of Adam's disappearance, and the possibility that he had sought to damage the marriage. His first polygraph came back inconclusive. His second showed no deception. He underwent hypnosis. He was eventually cleared. One Hollywood PD officer later acknowledged the department had violated Campbell's civil rights during the investigation. Geography also ruled him out. He could not physically have reached where Adam's remains were found within the required timeframe. The Walsh family never believed he was involved. All three, John, Reve, and Campbell, were cleared. The case file reached 10,000 pages. A significant portion documented the investigation of a man who had nothing to do with it. No physical evidence pointed anywhere else. The next development would not come from police work. It would come from a television screen 2 years later, and from a corporation that had been hiding something since the day Adam disappeared. On the afternoon of July 27, 1981, Sears already knew their security guard had directed an unaccompanied child out through an unfamiliar exit into a parking lot. They told no one. Not Reve Walsh, who was searching their store. Not the Hollywood Police Department. Not the public. The reason was liability. The calculation was that silence was safer than disclosure. That calculation held for 27 years. On July 22, 1983, the Walsh family filed suit against Sears for negligence and wrongful death, days before the statute of limitations expired. The suit alleged Sears knew predators frequented the toy department and that the video game display attracted unsupervised children. Sears countered with contributory negligence against Reve, arguing she bore responsibility for leaving Adam in the store. They also threatened to subpoena the active police case files, which if entered into a civil record could permanently compromise any future criminal prosecution. In November 1983, the Walshes withdrew the lawsuit. Not because they lost the argument. Because protecting the criminal case mattered more than winning the civil one. In September 1995, Catherine Schaefer-Barak was re-interviewed. She said she was now 85% certain the boy she had ejected was Adam Walsh. She had been 17, untrained, and working part-time. She did not take Adam. She made a mistake that someone else exploited. Sears stayed silent for over a decade while a family looked for answers. Now we are about to meet the men police actually suspected of taking Adam, and the evidence that keeps this case from ever being fully closed. Subscribe to Case Zero Archives. Every case gets this deep. Edward Harold James had been arrested in 1981 for abducting a child in Pompano Beach. A cellmate claimed James had confessed to luring Adam and disposing of remains near a canal. Investigators obtained a warrant for his 1974 Plymouth Fury. James had replaced the front seat in August 1981, immediately after Adam's disappearance. Testing came back inconclusive. He passed a voice stress analysis. His employer confirmed he was at work on July 27. Case closed. Keith Allen Warren had a documented history of extreme violence, including a prior attempt to decapitate someone in Las Vegas. A cellmate claimed Warren had been bragging about killing Adam. In 2008, Warren provided DNA voluntarily. He was definitively ruled out. He later admitted he had fabricated the claim to build credibility inside the prison system. What these two cases established was a pattern. A high-profile child murder with no physical evidence and no charged suspect becomes a magnet. People inside correctional facilities construct claims specific enough to require investigation. Detectives have no choice but to follow them, because the cost of ignoring a real lead is too high. So every lead gets worked. Most lead nowhere. The investigation had no confirmed direction. The file had no forensic anchor. Somewhere in a Florida prison a man had been hinting to guards about a boy taken from a mall. And before that story could fully surface, another name was coming, one no investigator had anticipated. Jeffrey Dahmer was honorably discharged from the U.S. Army in early 1981, flew to Miami in March, and by summer was broke, sleeping on beaches, and employed at Sunshine Subs in the Hollywood area from approximately April through September 1981. That timeline placed him in the immediate vicinity of the Hollywood Mall during the exact window Adam Walsh disappeared. Sunshine Subs operated a blue delivery van. The owner stated Dahmer was not permitted to drive it due to his drinking. Whether that restriction held consistently was never definitively answered. After Dahmer's arrest in Milwaukee in July 1991, 3 independent witnesses came forward. William Bowen placed a man matching Dahmer's description outside Sears on July 27. Willis Morgan watched a suspicious man move from a nearby Radio Shack directly into the toy department. Janice Santamarzino nearly collided with an illegally parked blue van outside Sears, went inside, saw a disheveled man, and identified him from news photographs years later. On August 7, 1981, 3 days before Adam's remains were discovered, a truck driver reported a blue van near the drainage canal. A man with a flashlight and a white bucket. He identified the man as Dahmer years later. Dahmer denied any involvement. He told investigators that if he had done it, he would say so. That statement carried weight. Dahmer had confessed to 17 murders in verifiable detail. His pattern was to confirm what he had done, precisely and completely. The case for his involvement, correct location, access to a matching van, for independent witnesses placing him at or near the scene, and departure from Florida permanently less than a month after Adam disappeared. The case against, no physical evidence, no confirmed independent van access, and witness identifications made a decade later through memory shaped by saturation media coverage. Dahmer was never charged. He was murdered at Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin in November 1994. The theory was never officially eliminated. In a Florida prison, a dying man was about to speak one final time to someone with every reason to tell the truth about what she heard. Ottis Toole was born March 5, 1947, in Jacksonville, Florida. His father abandoned the family. His mother dressed him in girls' clothing and called him Susan. His grandmother was a self-described Satanist who brought him into grave robbing from childhood. IQ of 75. Epilepsy with frequent grand mal seizures. Dropped out in 9th grade. He claimed his first murder at age 14. In 1976 he met Henry Lee Lucas at a Jacksonville soup kitchen. Lucas had served 10 years for killing his own mother. Together they claimed over 100 murders. Most of Lucas's confessions were proven mathematically impossible. Toole was convicted of 6 murders. 2 death sentences commuted to life. On October 10, 1983, the TV movie Adam aired to 38 million viewers. A hotline number ran at the end. The following day, Detective Kendrick of Brevard County received a tip. Toole, already imprisoned at Rayford Correctional Institution, had been hinting to guards about a boy taken from a mall. On October 19, Hollywood PD visited him. He confessed. He made 24 documented confessions in total, including a 1984 videotaped interview with Texas Rangers. Early accounts named Lucas as present. Lucas was provably in a Maryland jail on July 27. Toole revised, he acted alone, named Lucas to settle a grievance. What kept investigators engaged was what Toole knew that had never been made public: the number of blows, the position of the body, the location relative to the Florida Turnpike. Those details matched Dr. Wright's autopsy findings precisely. Toole said he lured Adam into a white 1971 Cadillac sedan DeVille with a damaged right bumper, drove north on Interstate 95, then the Florida Turnpike, strangled Adam with a seatbelt on a service road just north of the Rainbow Road overpass in St. Lucie County, then disposed of the head from a wooden footbridge near mile marker 130. The Cadillac belonged to Faye McNett, who had repossessed it from Toole. Investigators located it in Jacksonville and obtained a warrant. On November 2, 1983, luminol testing lit up blood on the driver's side and left rear floorboard. The 1983 technology could not confirm human or animal. The evidence was sealed and flagged for Hollywood PD to collect. Hollywood PD never came. The car was sold for scrap in 1985. The carpet and blood were gone permanently. In 1995, an FBI agent contacted John Walsh about DNA testing on the carpet. Hollywood PD confirmed the evidence no longer existed. The one piece of physical evidence that could have definitively closed this case was lost because one police department never picked it up from a Jacksonville parking lot. If institutional failure in true crime investigations is what you come here for, subscribe to Case Zero Archives. This is what we do. In August 1991, a witness came forward who said they had seen Adam get into a Cadillac matching Toole's on July 27 and described a specific dent on the vehicle never made public. Retired Detective Joe Matthews examined the luminol photographs and reported what appeared to be a facial imprint in the blood on the floorboard. John and Reve Walsh believe it is Adam. Ottis Toole died September 15, 1996, of liver failure at Florida State Prison. He was 49. No relative claimed his body. Hollywood PD did not know he was dying. No investigator visited. His niece Sarah Patterson had visited in December 1995 and again in 1996. He confirmed he killed Adam and said he had always felt bad about it. On December 16, 2008, Police Chief Chadwick E. Wagner officially closed the case. Toole named as the killer. Wagner acknowledged the evidence was weak, that Toole could have been charged during the original investigation, and apologized publicly to the Walsh family. No new physical evidence had emerged. A definitive single piece of proof does not exist. John Walsh had believed for years it was Toole. Now it was official. Florida became the first state in America to establish a missing children's clearinghouse. In October 1982, President Reagan signed the Missing Children's Act, mandating the FBI to enter missing children into the NCIC, the exact gap John Walsh had identified in a conversation with a county coroner 14 months earlier. Closed by federal law. In 1984, Congress passed the Missing Children's Assistance Act. That same year, John and Reve founded the Adam Walsh Child Resource Center, which became the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in Alexandria, Virginia. Since 1984, the NCMEC has handled over 5 million calls on its 1-800-THELOST hotline and helped recover more than 426,000 missing children. John also pushed for VICAP, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, built to track serial offenders across state lines, the cross-jurisdictional tool that had not existed when Adam was taken. The TV movie Adam reached 38 million viewers. 13 of 55 missing children shown were found as a direct result. Busy Bone was reunited with his mother after a babysitter recognized his photograph during the broadcast. America's Most Wanted launched on Fox in 1988, ran 25 years, and helped capture more than 1,100 fugitives. John and Callahan Walsh now co-host the revived version, which returned to air in 2024. In 2006, President George W. Bush signed the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act, expanding the National Sex Offender Registry, creating a child abuse registry, and strengthening sentencing for crimes against children. The Code Adam Protocol, used in retail stores across America, is named after him. Criminologist Richard Moran of Mount Holyoke College observed that the case permanently altered the relationship between parents, children, and public spaces in ways that still shape childhood today. Adam Walsh was 6 years old. He was in a store for 10 minutes. A corporation stayed silent for 27 years. A police department lost its only physical evidence. A legal system had no infrastructure to respond. A case that consumed a decade officially closed in 2008 with no charge ever filed. From that failure, 426,000 children came home. Laws were rewritten. A database was built. A program that ran 25 years put 1,100 dangerous people behind bars. And a man who lost his son in a Florida mall spent 4 decades building the infrastructure that now protects children across the entire country. That is the record. That is what Adam Walsh built, without ever knowing he was building it. If this case stayed with you, the next one will too. Every Case on Case Zero archives gets this level of research, this level of detail, and this level of depth. Subscribe now. Hit the bell. You do not want to miss what we cover next.